How's everybody doing? Yeah, come on, how's everybody doing? It's better, but you have room to improve. I know it's a library, but you're allowed to yell just for tonight. My name is Aidan Flax-Clark. I work here. I'm the director of life from NYPL, so it is an absolute thrill to see all of you here tonight, and everybody who's watching online, thank you so much for being here. We have quite a power trio tonight. Hilton Als, Kara Walker, and Jamaica Kincaid. They are here to talk about An Encyclopedia of Gardening for Colored Children, a one-of-a-kind, absolutely stunning collaboration between Jamaica and Kara. Hopefully you saw that copies are for sale over here when you walked in, and everyone who pre-ordered the book, thank you very much. Hopefully you got your copy, but if you didn't, it's waiting for you at the table. We are beyond thrilled to help launch this book with three people whose work means so much to us here at the library. In 2019, we honored Jamaica Kincaid as a library lion in our collections in the Wallach Division of Arts, Prints, and Photographs here in this building, and in the art collection at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. We are very proud to hold many examples of Kara Walker's work, both prints and artist books. And Hilton Als has been a regular guest at Live from NYPL and at the Schomburg Center for many years. And I even just saw that our Harry Belafonte library at 115th Street is holding a book club for Hilton's book Pinup. So if anyone's interested, go check it out. An Encyclopedia for Gardening for Colored Children, not only available for sale tonight, but also, of course, available with your library card, which everyone, of course, has a library card, yes? I like a cheer for a library card. I can't see your faces, but if someone was hiding and doesn't have one, I will find you afterward and I will make you sign up. Now, every power trio needs an excellent opening act. And in a minute, it will be my pleasure to invite up Barrye Brown, who is the Curator of Manuscripts, Archives, and Rare Books. Yeah, give it up for Barrye Brown. She's the Curator of Manuscripts, Archives, and Rare Books at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. And Barrye is going to talk about some items in our exhibition Treasures and elsewhere at the Schomburg Center that you could argue feel like forerunners to tonight's book. Has anyone in this room been to Treasures? All right. Well, if you haven't been, it's up for 75 years, so you have time. It's right upstairs. It's free. It's online, so you have no excuse. It's an amazing exhibition. It highlights some of the 56 million items in our special collections. Things like artwork by Matisse, batons that belong to Toscanini, manuscripts by Maya Angelou, fragments of Percy Bysshe Shelley's skull, and rare and beautiful books like one of our 6 first folios or a Gutenberg Bible. It's an amazing show. It changes a little bit every time, so even if you've been, please go back and check it out. There's an entire section in it on childhood, where among things like the original Winnie the Pooh characters and a first edition of The Snowy Day, which is the library's most borrowed book, you can also find a copy of W.E.B. Du Bois's Brownies Book, which you're going to hear more about from Barrye in just a minute. I want to tell you about some upcoming Live from NYPLs that we've got. Next week, we are going to have an event called Translating Shakespeare with our friends from the Public Theater. It's about a new bilingual 90-minute adaptation of the Comedy of Errors, which at the end of this month you will be able to see for free on the plaza in front of the library from May 28th to June 2nd. It's going to be really fun. Also next week, Colm Toybeen is going to be here to talk about his sequel to Brooklyn called Long Island. That one's sold out, but you can watch it online, and Colm's book was just named the new selection for Oprah's Book Club. Tom Steyer is going to be here later in the month to talk about actual solutions to climate change. And at the end of June, REM's Michael Stipe will be with us. So we've got a lot coming up. All of it's free. You can sign up at nypl.org/live. When you sat down, you hopefully saw that you have note cards. Those are for asking questions. Kara and Jamaica will be happy to answer some of your questions at the end, so some of my colleagues will be walking by to pick them up. Please write down your questions, and we will make sure that they get to them. And if you're watching online, you can put your questions in the chat. We'd love to hear from you wherever you are. Live from NYPL is made possible by the continuing generosity of Celeste Bartos, Manaz Ispahani Bartos, and Adam Bartos. Treasures programming is made possible by the estate of Helen Sisterson. And of course, we couldn't do any of this without all of you here. So really, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And please join me in welcoming Barrye Brown.
Can everyone hear me? Okay, so good evening, everyone. As Aiden mentioned, my name is Barrye Brown, and I am the Curator of the Manuscripts, Archives, and Rare Books Division at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. Located in Harlem, we are one of the 3 research libraries of the New York Public Library System, and we are devoted to the research, preservation, and exhibition of materials focused on African American, African, and African diaspora experiences. Tonight, I will be talking to you about the Brownies Book, which was the first periodical for Black children and largely recognized as the publication that established the foundation for Black children's literature in the United States. It is also one of the items featured in the childhood section of the Treasures exhibition here at the Schwartzman Library. So with that, let's first get started with a little bit of historical background. So the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as the NAACP, is a civil rights organization founded in 1909 by an interracial cohort that included W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary Ovington White, Moorfield Story, Ida B. Wells Barnett, and Henry Moskowitz, just to name a few. Its early mission was to promote equality of rights and eradicate caste or race prejudice among citizens of the United States, to advance the interest of colored citizens, to secure for them impartial suffrage, and to increase their opportunities for securing justice in the courts, education for their children, employment according to their ability, and complete equality before the law. The year after its founding in 1910, the NAACP began publishing The Crisis, which served as the official magazine of the organization. Under the direction of its founding editor, W.E.B. Du Bois, the magazine was largely a vehicle to disseminate the news and politics of the day, especially highlighting instances of injustice and lynching. The magazine began to incorporate more artistic and literary elements under the tenure of Jessie Redmond Fawcett, the magazine's literary editor from 1918 to 1926. This period of time in American history is known as the nadir, a term coined by historian Rayford Logan to describe the period after Reconstruction in 1877 through the early 20th century, when American race relations were at an all-time low. In addition to heightened racial violence, particularly against African Americans, we also see the rise of Jim Crow laws throughout the country during this time. From the inception of the crisis, the NAACP recognized the importance of the youth constituency, largely but not limited to the children of its membership. So, in order to speak directly to this audience, each year the crisis would publish an issue that they called the Children's Number, which was by far the publication's most popular issue. This issue highlighted content such as short stories, games, and poems for children, but still continued to cover stories of race-based violence. Given the heavy nature of these issues covered within the crisis, Du Bois expressed concern at how this news would affect Black children. Thus, the idea for the Brownies Book was born. In 1920, as literary and artistic production flourished during the Harlem Renaissance, editors W.E.B. Du Bois and Jessie Redmond Fawcett, along with business manager Augustus Granville Dill, created the Brownies Book, a monthly magazine for the children of the sun. This magazine was designed especially for their youngest readers as a response to the popularity that annual issue and was the first periodical for Black children. Issued as an offshoot of the Crisis magazine, the Brownies Book was published by Du Bois and Dill Publishers, located at 2 West 13th Street, right here in New York. The publication sold for $1.50 for a 6-month subscription, or 15 cents a copy, and remained in circulation for 2 years. Du Bois and his co-editors wanted this children's magazine to serve as a much-needed medium for Black and brown children and families to learn about the many contributions made by people of color around the world, as a public forum to discuss current issues that they faced, and most importantly, as a space of literary and artistic joy. When announcing the upcoming publication of the Brownies Book in the October 1919 issue of the Crisis, Du Bois outlined the following objectives. Number 1, to make colored children realize that being colored is a normal, beautiful thing. Number 2, to make them familiar with the history and achievements of the Negro race. Number 3, to make them know that other colored children have grown into beautiful, useful, and famous persons. Number 4, to teach them delicately a code of honor and action in their relations with white children. Number 5, to turn their little hurts and resentments into emulation, ambition, and love of their own homes and companions. Number 6, to point out the best amusements and joys and worthwhile things of life. And number 7, to inspire them to prepare for definite occupations and duties with a broad spirit of sacrifice. In his role as editor-in-chief of the Brownies Book, Du Bois would reach out to Black creatives of his time and ask them to contribute a piece of their best work to the periodical so that Black children would know that they are thought about and loved. He also solicited submissions from unknown creatives to give them an opportunity to publish their work. For example, it was the Brownies Book that first published the young poet Langston Hughes's work. We'll see more of him later. In time, Du Bois, Dill, and Fawcett brought on the prolific Harlem Renaissance artist and teacher Hilda Rue Wilkinson as the magazine's art director and illustrator. Each issue of the original Brownies Book features the contributions of a multitude of well-known and lesser-known artists, writers, and poets from the Harlem Renaissance era, such as Laura Wheeler Waring, Nella Larson, Effie Lee Newsome, and Georgia Douglas Johnson, just to name a few. The inside cover of each issue always contained the same declaration: designed for all children, but especially for ours. It aims to be a thing of beauty, of joy and beauty, dealing in happiness, laughter, and emulation, and designed especially for kiddies from 6 to 16. It will seek to teach universal love and brotherhood for all little folk, Black and brown and yellow and white. Of course, pictures, stories, letters from little ones, games, and oh, everything. The magazine was foundational and future-oriented. Each issue included fiction, current events, games, songs, puzzles, biographies, and a wide variety of photographs, artwork, and illustrations. Throughout its entire run, the Brownies Book included columns that were always pertinent to Black children's lives. I'd like to take a moment to highlight a few of those serialized columns that appear in every issue. In a section titled Little People of the Month, you'll find highlighted the achievements and accomplishments of young people. Here is an example that appears in the July 1920 issue, which highlights Black high school graduates. I hope that everyone here recognizes this person on the screen. If not, this is a young Langston Hughes in his high school graduation photo. I've also included a quote from him in the publication where he says, quote, "It might interest you to know that I have been elected class poet and have also written the class song for the graduates. I am, too, editor of the annual and am the first Negro to hold this position since 1901, when it was held by the son of Charles W. Chestnut. I thank you for the honor of having my picture in your publication." The Judge was a column written by Jessie Redmond Fawcett that was often meant to impart readers with a moral lesson. Students would gather these lessons through the Socratic method of teaching, which emphasizes dialogue and asking and answering questions in order to stimulate critical thinking. In this way, the Judge's wisdom was meant to complement the guidance of parents. The Judge's philosophy of child rearing was that a guided discovery of appropriate ethics and appropriate personal and public actions is more valuable than rules and advice dispensed in an authoritarian manner. These lessons were not only restricted to child readers. Parents also received admonitions from the Judge as well. For example, in one issue, the Judge suggests using more positive reinforcement rather than physical punishment towards children. In the jury column, young readers were encouraged to submit letters to the magazine for inclusion, which also served as an advice column. This was a way for the editors of the magazine to engage directly with their young readers. The Grown-Ups Corner is a section that offers parents advice and insights into child rearing, which shows that the Brownies book was not just for children, but an experience for the entire family to engage with and learn from. And this has to be one of my favorite sections of the Brownies book. So the Our Little Friends section always features a series of photographic submissions of Black children. This section in particular harkens back to the first aim that Du Bois stated of the magazine, to make colored children realize that being colored is a normal, beautiful thing. The Brownies book was not only shared across generations, but it also bridged countries, cultures, and civilizations. Yes, the readers of the Brownies book learned about the people and cultures of the African continent, but they also learned about an entire international community, largely through the section Where the Crow Flies, which focused on current events worldwide. In addition, young readers from all over the world sent in letters, songs, games, and stories from their own societies. So we're at the end. Anticipating the financial challenges of publishing 2 magazines at once, both The Crisis and the Brownies book, Du Bois and Fawcett called upon friends, intellectuals, and the community to help fund the latter project. Unfortunately, despite their best efforts, by December 1921, the Brownies book had reached its end. The publishers did not release another issue after that time. In the valedictory column of this issue, they write, Messieurs Du Bois and Dill announce with great regret the discontinuance of the Brownies book. Recognizing the great need which exists for literature adapted to colored children, and indeed to all children who live in a world of varied races, we have for 2 years made the experiment of publishing at our own expense the Brownies book. The farewell issue maintained the same energy and high quality as the earlier issues. It included artwork from Hilda Rue Wilkinson and short stories by Yolande Du Bois, who was W.E.B. Du Bois' daughter, and also Langston Hughes. The legacy of the Brownies book cannot be overstated. By placing Black children at the center of a literary movement as both readers and subjects, it allowed these children of the sun to see others who look like them and to be seen in a publication. This goes a long way towards instilling a much-needed sense of pride and self-worth in a world that does not always value your existence. The Brownies book was also a publication that did not shy away from exposing children to the harsh and sometimes horrifying realities of life. In this regard, it served as a pedagogical tool to help Black children make sense of the world around them, while also teaching them how to navigate a nation in racial turmoil. So, in the spirit of the Brownies book, I'd like to highlight some of the work that our young people are doing through the Schomburg Center's Junior Scholars Program. For those of you who are not familiar with this program, each year 100 students from 5th through 12th grade participate in the Schomburg Center's Junior Scholars Program. This is a tuition-free Saturday program, which runs from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., that runs during the academic year, and it promotes historical literacy through college-style lectures, presentations, group discussions, activities, and project-based learning. Students generate individual research, original writing, art portfolios, and collaborative multimedia arts projects from their intensive study of the Center's archives and resources. Each year, the Junior Scholars Program identifies a theme, and students visit the archives to conduct research and gather inspiration. The culmination of this research usually results in an exhibition at the Schomburg Center. This year's theme is Growing Up Black. So when the students came to visit the archives, in addition to looking at the Brownies book, we also pulled a number of other items that aligned with this theme. We pulled the 1942 winter edition of The Magpie, a literary art publication from DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx. The editor-in-chief of this particular issue was none other than James Baldwin. We also pulled the Frederick Douglass Junior High School Biographies of Famous Blacks, which is a 1958 class assignment and handmade booklet done by Class 9-204. And last but certainly not least, we pulled the Black ABCs, as you see here, which is a set of oversized flashcards created in 1970 by the Society for Visual Education. These cards reimagine and reinterpret the images and words associated with the alphabet. As you can see, every card features incredibly beautiful and empowering images of Black children. To me, each of these items continues to embody the ethos of the Brownies Book by allowing children of today to see the beauty, brilliance, and creativity of Black children in the past. I'm so excited to see the end result of this exhibition, which opens in June. So I encourage you all to check it out as well. Come visit the Schomburg Center for that. And that is my presentation. I think I did good for 10 minutes. Oh, yay, thank you. So once again, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. If you'd like to learn more about the Schomburg Center, please visit our website. Or if you'd like to see the full run of the Brownies book or any of the items that I mentioned, please email us at schomburgarchives@nypl.org to learn more about scheduling a research appointment. And if you have not already visited the Treasures exhibition here in Schwartzman, please make it a point to do so. Thanks again, and without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage Jamaica Kincaid, Kara Walker, and Hilton Als. Thank you so much.
If you're having any trouble hearing us, there's a sort of, the acoustics are a little weird in this room, so if you're having trouble or our voices are bouncing too much, just tell me. I won't be offended. This is a mighty auspicious occasion in many ways. Today marks the first time that Jamaica Kincaid and Kara Walker have ever met. Yeah, you told me. And to walk into the room where they were signing books earlier was to enter a kind of fragrant utopia for me, because I've learned so much from these women over the years, and their support of me has made me a different person than if I had never met them. So this is my gratitude to you two. And we begin with this extraordinary book that I didn't know I was missing until I got it. It's one of the great treasures. And you two are treasures, and I want to understand the genesis of the project. There was it started with you reading something, yes, Jamaica? Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. Well, I was reading the New York Times book section once, and there was a whole discussion about not enough books for and this is the phrasing, children of color. And, I was annoyed at it because I didn't like the arrangement of the words children of color. I thought it should say colored children because white is a color too.
Yes.
And when it said children of color, it seemed to be excluding them. So I said I would like to write a book for children. I'll write a book for children. And of course, what I really meant was that I would write a book for myself because I really am a child. I haven't grown past 7. And this is the book I would have liked as a 7-year-old. I would have stolen many copies of it.
Yeah.
At 7, I couldn't afford to buy books, so I stole them. Anyway, I found a large book called Photographers. It's a big black book. It's called Photographers. I have something like that. And you open it and it's all blank pages. So that's what I used as, I began to write the alphabet in it. And I can't draw, and I would draw something. And I had it for years, just entering things as I discovered things in gardening. Because as you know, I fuss around in the garden, but I'm not really a gardener. I'm really reading something in the garden. And so I would write these things in it, and I hoped that there was an illustrator that I would work with, but then he got scared of the word colored.
Wow.
That he said, oh, it would cause trouble. Because then later on, there was all sorts of trouble in the children's book business of who was portraying who and all sorts of nonsense. And so I just had this book, and then of things I'd scribbled. And then one day, I remembered that you knew Cara, and I wrote to you asking you if I would be too forward to something like that. And I asked you to put me in touch with her, which you did. And so I wrote to her and said, I have this idea, would you do it, and would you collaborate? And I was so sure she would say no, that when she said yes, I immediately wrote back and apologized for disturbing her.
I wrote back right away. I was like, of course.
Well, I mean, the thing that was that there's a little footnote to this story, which is that Cara was starting to garden seriously.
Well,
Right around then.
seriously.
Or enough. You were gardening
Let's
enough.
say I touched some dirt.
Yeah.
It was. I think it's important. I think to note that we were sort of in the throes of this pandemic, and
Yes.
I had
Please
sort
tell
of
us.
not intended to run away, but then I did from the city because things got very hectic in my neighborhood, and I just found a little respite back in a part of the world that I was familiar with.
Yes.
And it had a garden already.
And
So I was adding,
Were you,
I was
you were the
making it
custodian of the
prettier.
old garden. But I remember that you started reading
yeah.
about,
Started reading Jamaica's book,
and I sent
my garden book.
Cara this book, and so I think for us to one of your garden books, but I think for us to talk about the ways in which the garden fertilized your imagination in some way. I'm very curious, starting I think from Cara to Jamaica, about what the feeling of the garden was for you, working, even if it was started by someone else.
Yeah.
It's always started by someone else, and then you rewrite it, right?
Exactly.
How did it feel to you?
I mean, it's going to sound a little bit trite maybe, but I did feel like I was gaining some lost knowledge that, had been sort of abandoned. Like, I had a memory of an aunt of mine, my Aunt Katie, who had lived in DC and had a little garden plot that she would tend. And there's a video of her, from before she passed, saying, that my mother had a garden, we all had gardens. And she was sort of like the only member of my family that I knew of to have a garden. So it was this lost bit of knowledge for me. So I was trying to speak to some group of people, family, ancestors, through, getting through the mulch and then, underneath the paper that they put on top of the soil, trying to dig into the, and doing everything wrong, and feeling the sort of disconnect, I guess, the disconnect of being like the lost child who. But
also the connect would be the effort, right?
Exactly.
Miss Kincaid?
Well, I come from Antigua, so everybody grows a little thing. But my mother had an extraordinary talent for growing things, especially she liked to eat something, and if she liked it, a fruit, something with a seed, she would save it and plant it. And then it would have a whole drama because it, the most dramatic is she ate a soursop. She loved the soursop. She planted the soursop seed. It grew into a very big tree near the house. Then one day she ate a passion fruit drink and she liked it. She took the seeds, she planted the passion fruit. It grew up on the soursop tree so vigorously that it weakened the soursop tree and made it vulnerable to ants, who would then come into our house. And she was so annoyed by this that she just set the whole thing on fire.
Wow.
So that's one of my...
She was a brutal editor of life.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Yes. Yes, I think I sometimes refer to her as Cronus.
Yeah.
She gave birth to us in the morning, ate us at night.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was my association with gardening was a lot through her. She grew things, and they had a response to her that was phenomenal.
Was it a memory that you brought with you to America?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you were living...
Except I don't destroy the thing.
Right. You were living catch as catch can for so long.
Oh, yes.
Did you always have a plant? Or
I did. I don't know if you remember when we lived on Hudson Street.
Yes.
And I used to grow little things in boxes,
Yes.
marigolds and things from... there was a place called Mahoney's down just below Canal Street. And I would buy things there. Yeah, I always grew something, though I didn't know why. I just thought, well, everybody grows something, some flowers, mostly marigolds, which are very easy to grow. They grow without, and they're a companion plant. They repel certain things because they have aspirin in them. So I have always grown things. And then the funny thing is, when I came to America as a servant girl, I immediately wanted to be a hippie because I wanted to go live in the country and grow things. I really did, and now I do.
Yeah.
Amazing.
One of the things that I love about this book is the form, that the drawings are in conversation with the language, and the language are beautiful paragraphs, sometimes separated by another thought that comes up, and tell me if you think that this is too graduate school of me, Jamaica, but I was reminded when I was reading the book of your first book of short stories, where worlds would change within a paragraph. And then I went further back in my memory to when you were a student and you would write out the photographs that you wanted to take.
Right.
And so I want to show this evening how Cara and Jamaica have had these parallel tracks for a long time. And I'm going to jump ahead and show slide number 14, if you can. And to go along with that image, I'm going to read a little bit of a story that Jamaica published in her first book, and it's called Blackness. How soft is the blackness as it falls? It falls in silence, and yet it is deafening, for no other sound except the blackness falling can be heard. The blackness falls like soot from a lamp with an untrimmed wick. The black is visible, and yet it is invisible, for I see that I cannot see it. The blackness fills up a small room, a large field, an island, my own being. The blackness cannot bring me joy, but often I'm made glad in it. The blackness cannot be separated from me, but often I can stand outside it. The blackness is not the air, though I breathe it. The blackness is not the earth, though I walk on it. The blackness is not water or food, though I drink and eat it. The blackness is not my blood, though it flows through my veins. The blackness enters my many-tiered spaces, and soon the significant word and event recede and eventually vanish. In this way, I am annihilated, and my form becomes formless, and I am absorbed in a vastness of free-floating matter. In the blackness, then, I have been erased. Oh. When I saw Cara's film, this is a still from a brilliant film called 8 Possible Beginnings. It has a longer title. It was a film in which the slave trade is acted out by puppets and silhouettes, art, quote unquote, right? Cara, I've always wanted to ask you this. Have you always had a great interest in the ways in which history and geography converge? Place, I guess.
Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think place. I don't know always, but certainly, you know, when I started, when I allowed myself to think about myself as a beneficiary in a weird way of this terrible history, you know, that you know, part of my story is moving from California to Georgia, and I think the kind of relative placelessness of the place that I came from and the sort of culturalessness of the place that I came from sort of allowed me to just be a kind of a whatever, a being, you know. And so when I look at my childhood and up through age 13, I definitely feel like I was any or every gender or type of person, and then when we moved to Georgia, it was very cut and dried as to what it meant to be a Black Negro sort of subject to this particular set of histories, and I think that informed my practice all the way through. That's sort of like the mythological through line of the pieces.
You know, I'm reminded of an exchange that we had when I was doing our work together for the piece, and I remember you telling about your father and seeing, this is often the primal scene for people of color, is to see your father or a person who has power be humiliated in some way. And that sort of woke you up, right, to he is the great person in your life, and so to have this experience of marginalization in front of you, they're making you something that you didn't know that you had to
I
be.
didn't even know what it was. That's
Yeah.
the thing. I didn't have the language for it. So I think a lot of the work that I've been doing, especially early on, was trying to invent and I wasn't even re-examining. I was like, what is the language? I had to look it up. I know.
When you, Jamaica, when you came from Antigua, you had been in the majority in your world.
Yes.
And what was it like to come to a place like New York, where people pretend to be a lot of different things?
Yes, that's a good way. That's a good way to put it. Well, when I
Oh,
no,
I want one.
yes. When I came to America, I had been used to a certain kind of white person, which was a British person, and they had their own ideas about who was white, and Spanish people, for instance, were not white, or Portuguese people, or Italians, and Romanians, and Poles, and the end of that distinction and catastrophe is in some ways what Brexit was about. Suddenly they were surrounded by all these other white people. So when I came to America and I met people who were white people, I just didn't recognize them. So I didn't pay any attention to anything they said. They
That's
just,
what we have in common.
that's what
What?
it's just,
I don't understand your
yes, I
meaning.
don't know why you're saying those things, and you just moved on. I thought America, that for a long time I thought racism was a form of being badly brought up. I just thought, I have no manners.
No manners.
No home training.
No, yes. And in a way, that's what it is.
And it's true.
Yeah, it's very true. Badly brought up.
Yes.
So I didn't really pay attention to a lot of whiteness. So, for instance, I think when you and I met, I was at the New Yorker, and the other black person there was Jervis Anderson, and there were lots of young white women who had gone to Vassar and Radcliffe at the time, and they were checkers or secretaries or something. And a few of them would ask me how I got my job at the New Yorker. And I didn't understand, so I would tell them the whole story of meeting George Trow and George taking me to the editor and so on. And they said, no, how did you get your job? And it got to be such a thing that I said to George, George, people are always asking me how I got my job, but they never listened to me. And he said, just tell them your father owns the magazine. And it stopped.
It's amazing how effective power can be, isn't it?
Really, yes, it was so. So I, coming from, you're right, coming from a place where if you said, the black one, so who could that possibly be? Because all of us are black. So when I came to America, and I really didn't pay attention to things. And actually, there's a person, I hope is in the audience, that I knew way back then, and I really want to ask them, it's occurred to me, what was I like? Why didn't I?
Oh, I can tell you. Well,
why didn't I notice people were white?
You were really gorgeous. And I wrote you a fan letter, and you called my house and lots of Trinidadian people were living there at the time. And then your note, you said, are you and your family from the West Indies? I would love to meet sometime. And I picked you up. That sounds odd, but
But it's true.
but you had the most beautiful legs, and you were wearing plaid shorts. And
I used to wear shorts.
and we went to the. I remember we were waiting to go to the Algonquin, and we were standing on 43rd Street, and we were looking at each other up and down. And then I was so excited that I kept talking, and you said you were very patient. 5 minutes, maybe. And you said, if you want to be a writer, you have to learn to listen. So now I do. But you were a vivid person. I'm going to, I just can't believe how much I want to talk and find out, but I'm going to read something Kara wrote in 2017, just at the beginning of the terrible Trump years. And it's an artist statement. Do you remember this, Kara? Okay.
You will remind me.
Kara wrote, I don't really feel the need to write a statement about a painting show.
Yeah.
I know what you all expect from me, and I have complied up to a point. But frankly, I am tired of standing up, being counted, tired of having a voice, quote unquote, or worse, being a role model, unquote. Tired, true, of being a featured member of my racial group and or my gender niche. It's too much, and I write this knowing full well that my capacity to live in this godforsaken country as a proudly raced and urgently gendered person is under threat by random groups of white male supremacist goons who flaunt a kind of patched-together notion of race purity with flags and torches and impressive displays of perpetrator as victim, sorry, you know the word.
Yes.
I roll my eyes, fold my arms, and wait. How many ways can a person say racism is the real bread and butter of our American mythology? And in how many ways will the racists among our countrymen act out their Turner Diaries race war fantasy combination, Nazi Germany and antebellum South, states which, incidentally, lost the wars they started and always will? Ellipses from ellipses. And the ending is very funny. Okay. The ellipses, and then Kara says, anyway, this is a show that works on paper. And,
Yeah, I do. That was my artist. That was my press release.
Yes, yes.
For
Can we
painting
have
show.
slide 7, please? Kara, can you tell us a little bit about this monument?
I didn't make this one.
No.
I was invited to work in the Turbine Hall, do a piece for the Turbine Hall, a commission it was unveiled in 2019, but for a year and a half or so prior to that, I was flown out to London, looked at the space, thought about what my relation to this space was, to the Tate, to London, to Empire. And as we were leaving in my taxi back to Heathrow, I snapped a few pictures of the Victoria Monument, but I didn't really visit it. Mm-hmm. And then for 6 months, fretted about what kind of a piece I was going to make for the Turbine Hall, because it could be about anything. It was going to definitely be about empire, but it was going to be about slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, or, was it going to be, like, how was I going to fill the space? Was it going to be shadows? Was it going to be 3 dimensions? How was I going to address it? And then it hit me after, hitting my head against the wall. When I drove past this piece, I said, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
It's so grandiloquent.
Let's see 9 and 10, please.
So ostentatious, so
yes.
so present.
Yes.
You know, so unavoidable, you have to drive around it.
That's
you know?
right.
You can't-
Well, this brings us
do
to a brilliant essay that Jamaica published in 1991 called On Singing England for the First Time. And when I saw your piece in 2019 in London, I was immediately affected on many levels, but then I also remembered deeply what Jamaica had said about monuments in England. And may I read it aloud, Jamaica?
Please.
So this is a piece, Jamaica says, and so finally, after growing up under British rule in Antigua, she says, and finally, when I was a grown-up woman, the mother of 2 children, the wife of someone, a person who resides in a powerful country that takes up more than its fair share of a continent, the owner of a house with many rooms, I saw England, the real England. And then I'll jump to, there were monuments everywhere. They commemorated victories, battles fought between them and the people who lived across the sea from them. All the people fought over which of them would have dominion over the people who looked like me. The monuments were useless to them now. People sat on them and ate their lunch. They were like markers on an old, useless trail, like a piece of old string tied to a finger to jog the memory, like old decoration in an old house, dirty, useless in the way. Kara just corroborated that. Dirty, useless, and in the way. Their skins were so pale, it made them look so fragile, so weak, so ugly. What if I had the power to simply banish them from their land, send boat after boatload of them on a voyage that in fact had no destination, force them to live in a place where the sun's presence was a constant? This would rid them of their pale complexion and make them look more like me, make them look more like the people I love and treasure and hold dear, and more like the people who occupy the near and far reaches of my imagination, my history, my geography, and reduce them and everything they have ever known to figurines as evidence that I was in divine favor. What if all this was in my power? Could I resist it? No one ever has.
Very, very true.
So when I saw I realized that you wonderful, brilliant ladies have been on similar paths.
I think so.
Really?
It's really true.
Really interesting. I have a whole thing about Queen Victoria, because even though, no, in my head, because even though when I was growing up she was long, long dead, we celebrated her birthday, May 24th, and it was a holiday, and we'd have maypoles and fetes and things. And so I was born on the 25th. And so when my birthday came around, everyone was too exhausted to celebrate.
And
So-
exhausted by empire.
Yes, and so I really kind of hate her, which is it's quite wonderful to hate someone. Hate is not really a thing to indulge in, but since you must, it's very good to hate someone who's long dead and
Yes.
not effective.
It can be refreshing.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it's
Presence
very,
everywhere.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's fascinating that Kara passing the monument
Yeah.
Yeah.
would have such a visceral response.
Yeah.
It's in the way.
It's in the way, but it's also like your piece says. There's it's irresistible in some way. Like I now have the mantle. I'm
Yes.
being given the space. So why be humble?
That's right. let's take the space.
Right.
I want to show. I've been very covetous of this book, very greedy about it, and not wanting to share that much about it because I want you to buy it, but B, because it has such resonance for me. I thought I would show a couple of images from the book, and beginning with breadfruit. That's number one. Can you guys put that up? Each of the plants or fruits or vegetables that you write about Jamaica have a kind of history that can sometimes be really sort of awful.
Oh, yes.
And awful in terms not just to the bodies that are cultivating things, but the spirit is what I feel a lot in this book. Kara has a illustration on number 5, if you can put that up for a second. That makes me weep because she shows the woman pulling it with her mouth. It's another gag order. So I wanted to ask you guys about the ways in which the writing helped you, Kara, or it was, drawing is another form of writing to me. So if you're receiving something that's like a poem, did it free your imagination, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, it was, let me just think for a moment if I'm speaking the truth. It freed my imagination, I think, yes, because a lot of the times we had a small list of, well, I knew my alphabet, and then there were some entries that Jamaica had given me some guidance or a partial excerpt of what she was thinking about writing or had partly written, and so I could kind of go there. But then for the most part, it was like, well, free association, and it was like, well, you wrote, well, daffodils. It was very specific for daffodils, and I went for narcissus, which I had no right in doing, and he could have corrected me, but I.
No, it's just perfect. My favorite is really Narcissus. No, I'm sorry, nicotine.
That is, hold on, I have it.
I don't think you have it.
We don't,
but
sorry.
It's of a little boy lying in his grave, really. I interpret it as a grave.
I loved all of your comments because I was so I was rushing a lot of the time. I was trying to be spontaneous with my drawings, and sometimes I would be very critical, like I should really stick to a style, or just adhere to something recognizable, or do something, and then I also just thought, well, hell, I just want to make a cute picture. Sometimes I want it to be cute because maybe it's for children.
Well, I mean, it's sort of, each of the writing is so much about consciousness, about shifts in consciousness within a single line. Why wouldn't you shift your own consciousness, right? I wanted to ask you, Jamaica, would you mind reading this beautiful little piece about consciousness and reflection?
No.
You have to do this with the children's book.
Oh, yeah.
Like in kindergarten.
Yes. It's the kitchen garden. K is for kitchen garden. The kitchen garden is the same thing as the vegetable garden, a place in which we grow food such as zucchini, pumpkin, tomato, watermelon, collards, kale, spinach, carrots, beets, beans, peas. But when we say we have a kitchen garden or a vegetable garden, it is our way of reminding ourselves that we have and can afford to have another garden, one that is full of trees and flowers arranged in areas divided by pathways and walls, and the manipulation of water into shapes that ordinarily would be found on a walk in the wilderness, ponds, lakes, waterfalls, and statues, grottos, and even sometimes making seating arrangements solely to view other landscapes that are natural and far away from the garden in which we are sitting. That's the Japanese garden. That garden feeds and nourishes our souls and inspires us to think about things, the little doubts we harbor deep inside ourselves, our hatreds of others, our love of others, the many ways in which we can destroy and create the world and live with the consequences. In that other garden, we grow mostly plants that are pleasing to the eye, roses, daffodils, and the nose, roses. In the Edenic creation story, the tree of life, which is in the kitchen vegetable garden, appears before the tree of knowledge. And the Lord God caused to grow every tree that was pleasing to the sight and good for food, with the tree of life in the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And I think what we left out is that I've interpreted the tree of life as agriculture and the tree of knowledge as horticulture.
Kara, has this collaboration affected how you feel about going back to your garden?
It's intimidating.
Yes?
No, I'm missing my garden because I've been busy with different types of work for the last little while, so I'm feeling a little bit like a bad student of gardening. And I know that I trust that the things that are there may grow. Some of the things that I uprooted, like the dahlias, did not survive the winter, but some other things like the gladiolas will go back in the ground.
Yes.
And I'm very proud to know the difference between the two.
And also the wonderful connection that troubling and rich and complex lineage of woman to woman in your family, and Jamaica's mother to her. And Jamaica, how has this wonderful, brilliant process helped you in the garden now?
It's, well, oh gosh, because the garden for me is such a book. But one thing I notice I've begun to do is create little miniature geologic arrangements, so that I planted daffodils in a way. I should tell you, I've planted about 22,000 daffodils on a large lawn, and it was all about redeeming Wordsworth from the dire wickedness into which he was put in the British Empire. But then I began to plant the daffodils in such a way that they looked like a river flowing into the sea. And so the process, I guess, has started me on an arranging of the landscape into geological features that you would find on a map. And I know that makes sense, since for my whole school life, the first thing we saw when we walked into our classroom every morning was a map of the earth, and it said the British Empire, and it's all the pink parts, the British Empire. It's most of the world. There are only 3 places in the world that the British have never invaded. You can look it up, it's true. They've invaded every place in the world except for 3 places. I can't remember exactly.
I was going to say which 3.
And so you wonder why they leave home so often.
Better weather.
There's
Is it not a nice place, this green and pleasant land that they're always talking about? So,
we've had a lot of fun talking today, and people want to go home and have their nice white wine. But just before we leave, I think some of the questions really were answered during the talk, but this one is a question I wanted to ask, but a very brave person asked this. Any chance we might hope for another collaboration?
We just got this one. I was thinking, I mean, I don't want to make more work for us, but
Yes.
when you were talking about your map, and I was thinking about my little property, such as it is, the first thing that I didn't draw the map, but I've been naming the areas because I feel like every place needs to have like a kind of like your book garden. I feel like I have the heights and I have the bog and I have the lower bog, and there's a field and there's some other attributes that I feel like need
Yes.
sort of gravitas.
Yes.
And they need an engraving with a map that shows the layout of the plane. So maybe.
Well, the thing is that, and you asked about what I've learned in the garden. I've come to understand the purpose of naming things. Is that so? When you say the bog. It's the way you understand something. It has a dark side to it, naming, because it's also a way of possessing.
Oh, totally. And that's what I learned from this book in particular, working on it. But I also learned the names of things.
Yes,
which is really
it's the way you.
important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you name something, you empty it of what it had before, and it begins again. So yeah, the bog, the different places, you'll put plants in it and you'll name it, and it will a name for it will enter your imagination, and you'll start to work from there. I don't know if people who cook or sew have the same feeling, but when I'm working in the garden, I feel all sorts of the humanity disciplines, philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel those things. I feel like you probably have better internal conversations with the plants than I do, because I am always aware of my sort of ignorance of what it is I'm looking at or doing, but I still have these. It feels very grand to be in conversation.
Feel very grand. It's true.
Desire is a grand thing,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
You're,
it just feels so wonderful.
Yes.
It's true.
well, I want to thank you two treasures for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamaica and Hilton.
Thank you.
Hilton for putting us together. I really.
Thank you so much.